4. The future of the world. China versus US. To estimate the probability of success of China in becoming a world superpower, let's review its geopolitics and economical situation relative to other powers. With Russia struggling to maintain the Ukraine invasion and its political integrity, Europe dealing with separatist movements, anti-migration issues, and managing to find the internal balance in the European Union, the unique country that remains stable and can project its influence overseas is the United States, even facing inflation challenges and political instabilities. Knowing this, it's possible to predict the relation between the two countries by generical factors over time and the possible overall fluctuations in the global economy. Government. China is more than ever politically consolidated by the almost total control of the PCC core, relying on Xi Jinping, considered the most influential leader since Mao Zedong, and recently approving laws to remain permanently at power. United States. America is facing serious conflicts since the election of Donald Trump in 2017, but these don't give signal of ceasing. Armed forces. China is continuously elevating its military budget, but corner rivalize with the enormous gigantism of those of US for still many decades. In the armed forces of the United States, no explanation is needed. They have the world's largest military industry and nobody can compete with them. Possibility of conflict. A conflict between the two nations is improbable, being better to China mature its emerging technological and industrial poles before thinking in an open conflict. So, if China is funding the world's biggest economic initiatives ever, how can the US react and how the world will face in this situation? The truth is that there isn't much to be done, seeing that global economy is already dependent on China, who will have some more time to develop its expansionist pretensions until the normalization of the Ukraine war in Europe. Chinese overview. Speaking of China, it is probably the unique nation which can be used the term of re-emergent superpower. The history of China changed the world three different ways between the mysterious ashes of history. It was the more advanced nations of the West and the world, its decline seemed to facilitate the best way to the development and prosperity globalization has caused. Now, China patronized the largest economic initiatives on the world, shaping a new global market to his own image, outlined by the Chinese dream. Can China make another fallback? Such scenario isn't necessarily the end of humanity, as it may seem today, and may happen by the imbalance of the factors that have given China the power it has today: its large population and excessive government control. This possibility justifies itself due to the crescent restrictions imposed by Beijing against the most promising changing world markets, artificial intelligence and cryptocurrencies. Past some decades, Beijing coerced itself without hesitation to the contradictory laws of monopolizing space travel markets, AI uses, and prohibiting cryptocurrencies. Final question. Who will win, China or United States? After comprehending the many factors in the global relations, especially between China and the United States, the future of the world is much more clearly. Here is it. The tensions of this new Cold War will probably consist mostly in Africa and Asia. Africa. African nations, which can become centers of global production if the initiatives of economic development and reduction of violence and economic risk promoted by virtually all nations are successful. Due to the debt trap China has implemented in Africa, can be mentioned that France or even Brazil could rivalize the China influence on Africa. Asia could be of interest of the United States, support the Asian tigers and other powerhouses to limit the overseas Chinese and, by last, can be argued the paper of Russia in these tensions. The most likely is that Russia ally with China, all through which caveats not to become just the supplier of natural resources to the growing Chinese demands, likely scenario as the problems of territorial administration and permanence in the power of Vladimir Putin increase more and more. It's notable that, even without the house in order, Russia masterfully uses the emerging trend of private armies, possessing the largest in the world, the Wagner Group, active in the war of Ukraine and also in Africa, which could be another hindrance to the West, significantly influencing African nations, which can become centers of global production if economic development initiatives and reduction of violence and economic risk promoted by practically all nations are successful. Again, if you like the content, subscribe to the channel and leave the like in the video to receive more content like this.